Hello, everyone. So today I'll be going over a quick summary of the book Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress. The book is mainly about just these two guys, um, the narrator and his best friend Luo, who are sent up to this mountain for re-education. And so the narrator and Luo, are considered intellectuals in a time where China is undergoing a cultural revolution. So being educated on like Western culture is forbidden, and like owning any books is illegal. That's why they're sent up to this mountain to be re-educated. In other words, it's manual labor. While they're on this mountain, they end up meeting this girl who goes by the Little Chinese Seamstress. And this girl has a huge impact on these two. And Luo and the narrator actually end up falling in love with her. But this girl, she actually ends up falling in love with Luo. So there's kind of a little love triangle going on. And so anyway, the Little Chinese Seamstress, this girl is the daughter of a very well-known tailor on the mountain. And she isn't very well educated because of how she grew up in this agricultural setting. And education wasn't really the norm for her and the people of the villages on the mountain. So Luo ends up like embracing her in the beauty of literature and reading to her and teaching her the things that he knows that she hasn't learned yet. And the Little Chinese Seamstress is very influenced by this one author's writing who goes by the name of Balzac, and ends up running away to the city to learn more and become more educated on what's going on in the world instead of being cooped up in a house in a village in the mountains. And that's kind of where the book ends, and mainly the plot of the book.
Cultural Context of Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress by Dai Xingjie. China's political turmoil. In the 1960s, China began a cultural revolution led by Mao Zedong, where intellectualism is shunned and the nation cares more about agriculture and living life by labor. Believing that the recently usurped rich and capitalistic aimed to reinstate power in communist China, many possessions that increased quality of life and traditional Chinese culture was banned in an effort to curb out any remnants of old China's culture in capitalistic ways. Re-education. The story takes place around 1971, in which millions of young people from the cities were sent to be re-educated in small peasant villages which dotted China to learn what life really is about, quoted by Mao Zedong. When Mao Zedong launched the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution, which pretty much means the revolution of the poor, the common people, many young adults and kids' lives were permanently scarred from their time in these peasant villages doing hard labor, and many were killed. Banned possessions and statuses. Many items were banned by the Chinese Communist Party. One could not own nearly anything that significantly increased the quality of their life. This includes instruments, clocks, TVs, and many other electronic and non-electronic items. In addition, many careers were banned by the government. Dentists, teachers, and the like were publicly humiliated and sent to hard labor camps or death for their professions. And many famous scholars and scientists were harassed to suicide or killed. This was all in the name of preserving the Chinese Communist Party's power, and the belief that intellectualism was dangerous and led to capitalism, and the idea that those who are intellectual are the enemy of the people.
The author of Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress is Dai Xingjie, a man born in Putian, China in 1954. Dai spent a lot of his childhood working at his father's tailor shop and became a skilled tailor himself. He was sent to a re-education camp for about 4 years. After being re-educated, he became both a filmmaker and an author, which shows his dedication and love for stories. Even though Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress is his most popular creation, he has written many other books and created 6 films. Although the story of the Little Chinese Seamstress is fiction, the setting and idea is based on the author's own experiences. He was re-educated when he was just 17, just like the main character, and attended high school after. Then Sujia went to France on a scholarship where he studied art history. There he was able to direct his first film in 1989 and produce his first novel, Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress, in 2000. It is written in French, and the English translation became a bestseller in the U.S. He wrote it in French because he was quote-unquote chasing an audience, which shows that he was trying to get more people to know about the situation in China. The fact that he wrote his story in his second language demonstrates his strong desire for individuals to learn more about re-education. Sujia directed the film adaptation himself as well. However, both the novel and the film were banned by Chinese authorities, which can be interpreted as ironic since literature is prohibited in the story itself. Dai Sijie has been writing stories and directing films in France to this day since 1984, when he arrived there.
In the story, The Little Chinese Seamstress, relating to cultural context and symbolism, the main theme is growth and how the characters grow and influence by the story. Things change. A city girl and 2 boys named Luo and the narrator go on a journey and they find books. And one of the main themes of the story is mainly re-education. And this is very important because they find stories given to them by Four Eyes that change everything forever. When Four Eyes gives them these stories, everybody feels powerful. And the main thing that happened was when they found these books, things started to change. And Luo loved the Little Chinese Seamstress. But then the Little Chinese Seamstress seemed to believe that she deserved more and was deserving of more. So during communist China, all books were banned. So the problem was when they got the hands on these stories, they felt powerful. And the Little Chinese Seamstress is an important character because lastly, the narrator says a woman's beauty is a treasure beyond price on page 184. And this is what happens to the Little Chinese Seamstress as she leaves them to become a city girl because she feels powerful and empowered by the story she was given. Lastly, the character Four Eyes was keeping the books, which further escalated the main character stealing them. And this was an illegal act, and Four Eyes was committing just because of the power that was given to him because he had found the stories. So relating back to this, the lack of education that was given to China at that time made them commit many illegal acts, and that's how bad they wanted education. And that is how this story relates to cultural context and symbolism, mainly because of re-education.